Travis? Can I have a word?
I'm busy.
I came here to tell you that you are a walking argument for birth control. And if you go near my daughter again, I will kill you and your entire inbred family.
Are you a screamer? A moaner? Are you dead? Hey, bitch! What? No! No
Get
way!
in the car, I will shoot you in the face. I'm trying. No coincidence. I knew you would hurt my daughter, and I knew that I would then have to kill you.
Late one night in New York, a young woman named Hazel quietly put on lingerie and fixed her makeup. She met with her one-night stand, whose throat she had already slit. Carefully, she wiped the blood from her mouth, removed all fingerprints from his body, and left the hotel room without leaving a trace of what had happened. 20 years later, Hazel runs a small, quiet restaurant, serving the same bored customers every day. No one suspects that the polite woman behind the counter has a dark and deadly past. Whenever the police stopped by, Hazel would discreetly wave their tab. Her teenage daughter, Joy, noticed this and finally asked her why.
You can't afford to keep comping the cops.
Hazel explained that staying on the good side of the police was important if something serious ever happened. She needed them to respond quickly and couldn't risk having them against her. As they spoke, Hazel suddenly noticed Joy's boyfriend sitting at a table and showed her disapproval. Knowing her mother would never accept him, Joy made a bold decision. She pleaded with Hazel to give her all of her college savings so she could leave Las Vegas and start a new life with him. Hazel rejected the idea immediately, scolding Joy for acting on impulse and refusing to hand over the money. She reminded her daughter that she had built her own life from nothing and expected Joy to do the same. Convinced the boyfriend was a bad influence, Hazel urged her to break up with him, but Joy insisted he was a good person.
He's a good person.
The conversation turned into a heated argument that ended with Joy defiantly saying she would move out and start a new life with him. Joy's boyfriend, like many young men his age, had no money for college and acted more on impulses and dreams than careful plans. That same day, while serving a customer, Joy noticed he couldn't pay. After he finished his meal without giving any money, she lost her temper, certain she had been cheated. Hazel stepped in to calm the situation. The man admitted he was homeless and couldn't pay for the food. Instead of throwing him out, Hazel offered him a job,
Can you wash dishes?
washing dishes in a temporary place to stay. After looking around the room, he introduced himself as Elliot. Meanwhile, Joy's boyfriend continued to pressure her for money so they could move. When she told him to handle it himself, he insisted even more, demanding they use the college savings. The next day, while talking to the regulars, Hazel saw Joy walk in, wearing sunglasses that covered most of her face. Sensing instantly that something was wrong, she ended her conversation and approached quickly. Joy tried to brush past, but Hazel pulled off the glasses, freezing at the sight of a dark bruise around her eye. Joy admitted her boyfriend was to blame,
It was an accident.
but begged Hazel not to seek revenge, warning her that his family was dangerous. But Hazel's rage ignored her words. Without saying anything, she left, went home, put on a striking dress, and grabbed the pistol she hid under her bed. Meanwhile, Joy's boyfriend was laughing and talking with a friend at a mechanic shop, completely unconcerned and unaware that Hazel was on her way. Hazel burst into the shop and demanded to speak with him alone.
Because I'd like to speak in private.
He refused and even mocked her in front of his friend. Without hesitation, Hazel landed a punch to his face, sending him staggering, and then followed up with a heavy kick that knocked him to the ground. When the mechanic tried to intervene, Hazel sprayed him with pepper spray, leaving him dazed. Blood ran down the boyfriend's face as Hazel pulled out her gun and ordered him to follow her. When he refused, she fired a warning shot near his ear. Terrified, he had no choice but to obey, complaining about his potentially broken nose as he walked behind her. In the parking lot, Hazel snatched his phone and threw it aside. She forced him into a control booth and bound him tightly with duct tape. Then, she drove deep into the Las Vegas desert with her daughter's boyfriend tied up in the back. Hours later, in a remote location, she dragged him out and brought him before a shallow grave she had already pre-dug. Without a word, she pushed him inside. Hazel revealed she had dug that grave the day she met him, knowing that sooner or later he would hurt her daughter. Then she pulled the trigger, turned around, and walked away, leaving the body in the pit without looking back. The next morning, Joy kept texting her boyfriend but received no reply. Worried, she confronted Hazel about his disappearance. Hazel remained calm and lied, saying they had argued and he had decided to leave town on his own. Joy didn't believe her and warned her that her boyfriend's family were dangerous criminals who wouldn't hesitate to seek revenge. If something had happened to him, they would go after the person responsible. But Hazel remained unfazed. Angry, Joy stormed off. Elliot approached to comfort Hazel, but they soon noticed a suspicious man taking photos of her from a distance. Hazel ran to confront him, but the man fled without saying a word. When she returned, Elliot was in the kitchen, tense and pensive. Upon seeing her, he quickly tried to act normal. That night, Elliot woke up from a nightmare and began silently packing his things, hoping to leave unseen. But Hazel caught him. When she asked about the man taking photos, he said he knew nothing, though his uneasy expression suggested otherwise. When Hazel pressed him about his past, Elliot agreed to talk, but only if she shared her story as well. Hazel refused, and they went their separate ways. After Elliot left, Hazel saw that the same suspicious man was still watching from a distance. When he finally drove away, she followed him to a remote motel. There, she forced her way into his room and knocked him unconscious. The man woke up dazed to find Hazel pointing a gun at him. Under pressure, he admitted he was a freelance journalist investigating Elliot. He said Elliot had killed someone and was now on the run. To prove it, he showed Hazel his laptop, which contained all the evidence. In the motel room, Hazel found a news article about Elliot. He had once been a famous cardiac surgeon, but his career ended after a drunk driving accident that killed his girlfriend. He served 4 years in prison and had just been released. After discovering the truth, Hazel took the reporter's laptop and left, warning him never to return. Life soon returned to normal. She went back to her daily routine at the restaurant, as if nothing had happened. That day she found Joy crying, still unable to contact her boyfriend. She tried to comfort her, but Joy rejected her and left. Following her outside, Hazel ran into Phil, a former coworker, who told her that their old boss had just been released from prison. The news turned Hazel cold. A chill spread through her body, because she knew exactly why he had returned. He asked to meet the next day, and she agreed. However, back at the restaurant, he suddenly mentioned Joy, praising Hazel for raising her so well. Beneath the compliment was a veiled threat that infuriated Hazel. The next morning during breakfast, Hazel told Elliot about the journalist and showed him the documents she had found. Faced with the evidence, Elliot admitted he once operated on the reporter's father, but the surgery failed. Since then, the journalist had held a grudge and tried to destroy his reputation by bringing up his girlfriend's accident. After hearing the full story, Hazel didn't hesitate. She asked Elliot to help her deal with the man threatening them and begged him to watch Joy for one night before she had to leave town to handle something important. Though uneasy, Elliot agreed. That night, Hazel met with Phil as planned. He took her to her old boss, who was happy to see her after 20 years. He recalled meeting her when she was only 15 and how he had taken her in, training her to be an elite assassin. After the reminiscing, he revealed the true motive for the meeting. He wanted Hazel to return to work. The target was a client named Perry, and he offered her a generous advance. But Hazel refused, insisting she would never return to that life, even if she still owed him something. Realizing she wouldn't budge, the boss changed tactics. He made veiled threats about her daughter and hinted that he knew about the disappearance of Joy's boyfriend. The message was clear. Leaving the past behind wouldn't be as easy as she hoped. Aware of the danger, Hazel reluctantly accepted the job. That night, she went to the casino to stake out Perry and then returned home to drink with Elliot. With the alcohol, she let her guard down and spoke about her past, her struggles with addiction, and how she was rescued and turned into a weapon. The night ended with an intimate moment between the two. The next morning, Hazel told Elliot she would be leaving that night and asked him to look after Joy. He agreed. That night, dressed to impress, she returned to the casino. Feigning a chance encounter, she caught Perry's attention. He invited her to his private suite, where they spent the night talking. As Perry finished his drink, Hazel offered to pour him another, discreetly dropping something into the glass. But before he could drink, he mentioned their past, the relationship they had 20 years ago. He admitted he still had feelings for her and hoped they could start over. Hazel was disturbed by his confession. When Perry raised the glass, she quickly snatched it away and kissed him to distract him. A knock at the door interrupted them, giving her the chance to hide the drink. When he returned, they continued kissing and agreed to see each other again. Later, Hazel returned to the restaurant, resuming her routine while Elliot continued washing dishes. Hazel didn't know that Elliot was actually an undercover agent working for her old boss. He had accepted the mission to watch her, even before arriving there. One day, a police officer mentioned that more and more teenagers were disappearing in the area. When Hazel asked her cook, he claimed to know nothing. The officer reminded her to report anything she heard. Phil arrived and warned Hazel that Perry was preparing to leave town. If she was going to act, it had to be now. Seeing her hesitate, he reminded her that failure would put Joy in danger. Frustrated, Hazel walked away, and Elliot tried to comfort her. With a heavy heart, she asked him to look after Joy, knowing she would have to leave soon. Despite Elliot hugging her, Hazel remained distant and left. Moments later, he sent a message to the boss, confirming that Hazel would act that night. Later, Hazel went into Joy's room to see her one last time. She said goodbye to Elliot, telling him she was going to work. He tried to stop her, but she refused, determined to finish what was necessary. As soon as she left, Elliot called the boss to report in. Meanwhile, Hazel arrived at the hotel, loaded her gun, and took the elevator to confront Perry. At that very moment, Perry received a mysterious package with a photo of Joy. Seeing it, he froze. He realized Joy was his daughter, the result of his relationship with Hazel 20 years ago. Still in shock, he was surprised by his wife entering the room. Thinking fast, he pretended everything was for a romantic date with her. Meanwhile, Hazel changed her mind and burst into the boss's hideout. After silently taking down a guard, the boss, who was watching on the cameras, ordered Phil to stop her. But before Phil could act, Hazel ambushed him and knocked him unconscious. Hazel advanced toward the room of the boss, who was already armed and waiting. Anticipating him, she shot him in the arm. Wounded, he tried to manipulate her by revealing that Elliot had been working for him the whole time. But Hazel remained calm and told him she no longer belonged to his world. Before pulling the trigger, she called him father, revealing that he was her biological parent. Hazel returned home covered in blood, cleaned herself up in silence, and checked on her daughter without saying a word. The next morning, she passed by Elliot without responding to his greeting, leaving him confused. Just as Hazel was about to start her shift, Joy approached, gave her a quick hug, and left. Moments later, Hazel heard a strange noise. Turning around, she was shocked to see her boyfriend bloody but alive. He signaled for her to stay quiet, and she nodded. Later, Joy asked to borrow the car.
Can I borrow the Bronco?
Now?
Some friends want me to come over. It won't be long.
Hazel gave her the keys and went back to work. While taking orders, she noticed the chef had disappeared. Going out to look for him, she watched in horror as a strange man attacked him and ran to help. While Hazel fought off one attacker, another man tried to grab a teenage girl. But seeing Hazel, he let go of the girl and lunged at her. She quickly took him down, but a third man suddenly pulled a gun and fired several times, leaving her slumped and motionless. In the chaos, the men captured the girls and fled. Elliot ran to Hazel's side, desperately trying to stop the bleeding as she lay still in the blood.